I am a feminist, yes. I guess I became like almost unconsciously a feminist. I grew up with a single mum who was pretty independent and fierce. And although it wasn't ever explicitly explained to me what feminism was growing up, I feel like I was given that education through my mum's way of operating, and just seeing her kind of being able to survive on her own and not reliant on a man or not needing a man constantly, had been really great until I guess I turned and became an adult, and every society says you need a man. Judge women, I find that really tricky. I think it's kind of like ingrained in you as a young woman to constantly judge and tear down other women, and I really have to it's almost, catch myself and find out why I'm doing that and why that's a thing. I guess it always used to be competition for male attention, but now, because women are having these advantages of being able to do whatever they want work-wise, well, not whatever, but, there are these opportunities, and then it's like, okay, so now we're competing for men's attention and all these roles as well and how we need to be. It's, I don't know, I feel like you want to not push people down, you want to kind of climb the ladder and lift people up if you can, which is a much nicer way of then just putting a shutter over once you've got up the top. Creating conversations I think is really important, but I feel like I'm still learning and finding my place, and I feel like I still slip up. If you just get vile, abuse thrown at you, you're not going to get anywhere. Like I feel like I see that a lot, especially online with social media. There are these far right men activists groups they're actually insane, and just spew vile hatred at women. I feel like you're never going to win with them because there's something in their head and they're terrifying and frightening, and I really feel I get quite terrified. These men have families and wives, and then they spew this kind of vile hatred at other women, but then they love their wives apparently. It's very bizarre, and I feel like, I don't know whether it must be around the world, but I feel like in Australia there is this real masculine culture that's still quite valued or held up, this kind of Aussie bloke butler. We have this history that's very much attached to Colonial Australia, and the treatment of Aboriginal Australians is not taken into account, and our colonial history is kind of valued in our history over the stories of Aboriginal culture, and that's kind of separated again. And I think the way we view Aboriginal Australians comes from that separation. Aboriginal Australians weren't considered human up until 1968, so they were still considered flora and fauna. Yeah, and I guess this comes into what I was thinking about with my play about dehumanizing people. Like, I feel like Australia's been able to do that very well in looking at minorities and asylum seekers and refugees and people of colour in general, and not like just the way that the language that some Australians use to describe Aboriginal Australians it's dehumanising. It's quite scary.